Okay, so with luck, I will get this uploaded. Okay, imaginary overlid. Looks like I need to quickly draw some circles, but we're going to talk about focus points today. Lighting. Okay. Okay, I am doing a area layout very, very quickly and not well. So we have something to look at today. So please do not ever assume that this is a good layout for anything, because I can already tell you this is pretty lousy.
Is there a reason why I can't type? Oh, wait. Oh, got it.
Why?
My phone was on the control. I'm pushing it down.
Ah. Okay, that's kind of a sucky actor area layout. But there we go. Okay. So I've just done an area layout. It's not great. It's here. We need to get to window, palettes, tool sets. Mine is already open and hiding, but looks like this. Okay. And we need to go to the tool set that is the spotlight tool set. It looks like a little Fresnel or par. I think it looks like a Fresnel, but it might be a par. It's teeny tiny. Okay. Is there anyone who does not have this tool set available to them? This one, can you look at the screen? This one, the one that I'm bottom left of the screen. Okay. Okay, what we need to set are what are called focus points. Focus points are where the light will point. So someone was asking me, can I get the light to point at the right object on stage when I'm looking at everything in 3D? And I said, yes, but not yet. We're still not going to get there today. But we're going to get closer, okay? So we're going to use the focus point tool. And go ahead and click on the focus point tool. I also like to have my snaps on for this, and I like to make sure I have snap to object on, because that will snap to the center of an area. I also like to put these on their own class. So do I have a class called focus points in the file? Probably not.
Yeah, you do. It's under lights.
I don't on mine.
There are many things.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to quickly add one.
Should we just delete everything that's on it?
Yeah, if you've got one. So I've created a class called Focus Points, and that's what I'm going to work on. I'm going to be set to show snap others because I actually want to snap to objects. I want to snap to my areas for whatever class they're on. Okay. So focus point tool is selected. I'm going to go hover near the center of one of my areas. You'll notice I got a little pop-up that says center because that is my snaps working, saying, hey, you look like you're trying to get to the center of that circle. Let's move your mouse right there for it. And I'm going to click. Okay. Yours says what?
I clicked the second before you said.
Okay. So it says name. You should name your focus point. I tend to name my focus points A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U. And with the honest thing that I tend to tell myself I'm going to skip I because it looks like a 1, and then I'm going to tend to skip O because it looks like a 0. And then I don't. So just because I'm going to be completely honest with you, but I was taught to always skip I and 0 because they look like numbers. Okay. You can call your focus points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 if you want, up to whatever number. You can call your focus points Lucy and Ethel and Fred and Ricky. If you're fond of old television shows, you'll get that.
Upstage left.
You could call them upstage left. It doesn't matter. Okay? Call them what you like. I'm going to tell you one thing. If you call them A, B, C, D, F, G, or you can call them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Vectorworks understands that convention and will suggest names that are useful. Is that a question, Jeannie?
I'm just trying to figure it out.
Okay. So put in a name, whatever name you want. I'm going to go with A because I like that. The next statement is focus height. The height is however far from the floor of the theater the object you're trying to hit is. So if our acting area lights are supposed to light the actors, what part of their body are we typically trying to light? Their head, their face. Now, if you are doing a show at Deaf West, you might have a different answer to that. Because at Deaf West, you need to show their torso because that's where the sign language is, and that's how the audience is hearing the story or being communicated the story. So, how far off the floor is a face? Okay, so I am 6 feet tall. I always put in 6 feet. Probably 5'8" is probably more accurate where my nose is. When I am lighting shows with lots of children, when I light theater for young audiences, which often have young actors, you have to lower the light. You have to lower the focus point, okay? Okay? Hannah, guess what? You can decide that your cast is all your height and set it to your height. Okay?
Probably not, though.
It's imagination, okay? So I'm going to set mine to 6 feet, okay? I click OK, and now there is a thing that says A here. I'm going to tell you I'm going to show you a weird thing about focus points. And why you definitely always want them on their own class. Because when I move around in 3D, you will see that that focus point is actually floating 6 feet in the air. Okay? And it's a computer. It's not very smart. When you focus a light at the focus point and it's turned on, the focus point casts a shadow. Welcome to Vectorworks. Okay? In real life, the focus point is an imaginary thing, but Vectorworks has no imagination. Okay? So that putting in the first focus point, that was a lot of work. Let's go put in the next focus point. I click on there because I called my first one A. Vectorworks says, do you want to call your next one B?
That says the A is already in use.
Did you delete all of them?
That means that there's another layer with focus points on them.
How do you delete?
How do I...
It's under lights. And then focus points.
So if you manage to have one download that's not been cleaned out,
So what I
set your navigation to show snap others, and make sure that the layer of the stuff you want to delete is check marked. Then draw a giant box around it, and we'll delete everything on that layer or on that class. Okay, I'm going to go put my focus point back in. Because what?
I was still selecting.
Okay. So I'm going to put in my next couple, A, B, C, D. And I will give you a hint, just for your own sanity. Whatever order, remember we talked about our channel numbering? I would put, if you want this to be channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, channel 5, I would put your focus points in the same order. You don't have to, but you can. Okay, now I'm going to go put in a focus point up here. Yes.
How do I change it so it's not three-dimensional?
Go to the box that says probably custom view up here. Click on it and go down to top plan. or Command 5, or View, Standard Views, Top Plan. Wow, you just got lots of answers. So I go and I put in one up here. Is my actor still 6 feet off the floor? Is his face or her face still 6 feet off the floor? No, Hannah, why not?
Because they're up higher.
They're on a platform. Okay? Who remembers how tall the platform is? No one. That's okay. You don't have to. Because if I go to Show, Snap, Modify Others, and I go to my Basic Selection tool, and I click on it, and I find my object info. Got too many windows open here. And I have to keep going through all my nested objects till I get to my object info is not showing. Window, palettes, object info. There we go. Show floor is 2 feet high. So if the floor is 2 feet high there, how high is the actor's face? If I had said 6 feet, that's there now at 8 feet. Okay. So when I go put in this focus palette, I'm going to go back to Show Snap. Focus point. I need to now set this at 8 feet. But Vectorworks will assume that my next one is at the same height, which I think is awfully civil of it. You can go ahead and put those in. Now, we also mentioned we are going to do any light that you want to point at something needs a focus point. Any light that you want Vectorworks to calculate if the light is bright enough, big enough, etc., that you want to use in a rendering, you have to create a focus point for. Which is just my way of saying every frickin' light is going to need a focus point. Now remember, with my areas, I'm going to probably have a front light and, well, probably 3 front lights for each of the 3 types of audience for there, and at least a backlight. So that focus point is doing at least quadruple duty. My house light focus points may be just working for 1 light. When I do focus points for my house lights, and I'm just going to quickly make these up, I'm going to go focus point, and I'm going to say, okay, here, I'm going to call this one House 1. And really, for the audience, I care because they're sitting down, but they're on a platform, and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to put it at 5 feet. And I'm putting it at 5 feet because I have done absolutely no math, and I should actually figure out what height I want it at. Okay? But for this example in class, I'm going to just set it at 5 feet. Okay? Cool thing is, though, I do house 1. I now come in here, and it's, again, house 2 because it says, ooh, you did something in a number. I bet you just want to add 1 to that number. Okay? And I'm going to ask the question, what happens if you decide you're doing all this and you're like, I don't like where I put my focus points? Is it a problem? Nope, move them. And if I need to move how high they are, their z-axis, the easiest way to do that is to select the focus point and go into Object Info and just edit it right here. So when I do set washes, I call them set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4, set 5. When I do, we've got a cyclorama back here I'm going to want to do. I can call this one Cyc 1, but I'm going to put that at 8 feet because that's the center. Cyc 2. Is this making sense? Okay. And you're like, I haven't figured out where my set washes go yet. Is that okay? Absolutely. Okay. But this is one of those steps. I'm showing it to you as a step. I will tell you when I am doing my light plots, when I go to light the house, I kind of guess where one house light focus point is going to be, and then I figure out what the lighting is, and I decide if I like it. And then I'll go put in my other focus points and put in my other house lights. Same thing for scenery, that I'll kind of experiment. But you do need to put the focus points in at some point. where the light is going to be pointed. Okay? So if, for example, you're going to say that Aragon, instead of laying on the couch to have his death moment, he's going to lay on the floor, and you want a special for that, great. But if he's laying on the floor, then his face is what? 6 inches off the floor. And maybe because he's laying there and not talking, you really don't care about his face, you're going to put it where his belly button is. Does that make sense? This is setting it up so that Vectorworks can help you calculate what your light is going to look like. Because eventually, you're going to be able to put shutter cuts in. You're going to be able to render a light with a gel in it in the software. And that's really cool, but this is how we tell Vectorworks where to point the light. Okay? And while you're putting your areas in is a convenient time to do this. Once you think, yeah, I'm pretty happy with my areas. And I can also go and put in specials like, ooh, I want a doorway special. I always like to put an extra light on the doorway because actors love to hang out in doorways and say important things. Like, I am here or I am leaving. And other things. So I always will put a focus point in the doorway and add a special there. Sometimes I'll add 2 specials. I'll do a front light and a back light for each doorway. Okay. I may not define this area back here as an area, but do I have to light it? Yeah. So I can put a focus point in here that says, I call it alcove 1. And it's 2 feet up, and we have a 6-foot actor, so 8 feet is great. I can do one out here called alcove 2, but that one's not only 6 feet off the ground. The area circle is solely for you to do your planning. Okay? I like you to, I strongly suggest that you do them because it's going to make following steps easier. But your specials, no, they're not going to have a circle. It's going to be that piece of furniture or that doorway or whatever. Aragon laying on the ground. And in fact, for Aragon laying on the ground, if that's what you want, and you want to draw that in, I could, instead of drawing in a circle, I can draw an oval or a rectangle. People are kind of boxy. I'm going to just draw a rectangle for him. So he's about 6 foot tall by about, 3 feet wide, 30 inches wide. That looks a little more human shaped. And I can go ahead and make that look just like my areas. And drag it into place. Abby Rosen Holmes, if you are looking through the gel book and you find Abigail Blue, that was developed by her, named for her, famous lighting designer, she does her areas as squares, not circles. I don't know because lights produce round things. She does. Yes, she does. She shutters the lights to squares. It is. She's famous and I'm not, so I'm not going to argue.
Is it efficient? Is it more efficient than using circles? I feel like it's more work.
I have not found it to be so. I did try it once. I think it's Abby Holmes who does it. I can look up who it is because it was the original designer of Angels in America when it was at the Mark Taper Forum. Because the assistant on that show was the lighting designer of Angels in America when it was in the workshop before it got to the Mark Taper Forum. And she said it was this weird thing that she does all of her areas as squares. And guess what? You can do that. You can make that decision. I mean, you could decide to make your areas triangles if you want. You're going to have a challenge getting your lights to those shapes, but maybe it's what you want. Okay? Or ovals or whatever. Okay? So yes, I can create a rectangular area if I want. Or I can say, yeah, this is for someone lying on the floor and I don't need to visualize that. I'm just going to put the focus point in. But if you are putting a light in, every light must be assigned to a focus point. Okay? Now, multiple lights may be assigned to the same focus point. Right? Because we're going to have, again, like I said, we're going to have 3 front lights and a back light or a top light to area A, right? For almost everyone's schematic diagram at least. Some people will have a lot more. Okay? So it's not like I have to put in 5 focus points right on top of each other. And in fact, I will let you know that if I was doing this show and this is how my area is laid out, probably for me, if I was doing a desk special, I would probably list its focus point as D, even though that's not quite the desk, but it's within inches of the desk. And I know when I'm going to actually focus the lights, how I need to focus it. Unless I was going to use it in a rendering, in which case I would have to do it. When we get into rendering, if the light is not pointed at the right spot, at the right focus point, it won't work. Okay? Does that make sense? These are what focus points can do. They are extremely powerful. I know I haven't shown you what they can do yet. But they are extremely powerful because it allows you to point a light virtually. And so I can show you what they can do. I'm going to open up Boys Life. Because I don't always do this on every light, but on Boys Life, there are projection screens, and it was vitally important to the projection designer that no light from my lighting instruments hits any projection screen or else. But the audience is sitting right under the projection screens. I'm going to zoom in here. Go and pop into 3D and look at this, and I'm going to show you what I was able how I was able to figure some stuff out. So here's the projection screen. There's the audience. Okay, and we have to be able to light the audience for house lights, right? And the projection designer said no lights hitting even in pre-show. So I'm going to select this light right here, and when you have all your focus points set up correctly, I can click Draw Beam, and it will draw in the beam of light. And I can put in my shutters so that I make sure that this light, which I can look at in 3D, misses the I-beam, misses the projection screen, and is going to light the audience.
So that's one of the ones where you wanted to be relatively specific about
Because it had to be very specific, I was using this to do an emulation to make sure that it was possible. And I'm actually really proud because this is not, I would not have thought this was going to work. This was not my first house light solution. This was not my second house light solution. I think it was my 4th house light solution. But it works. And I can move around here and I can go, yes, I'm missing the I-beam, barely. Yes, I'm missing the screen, barely. Yes, I am lighting what I need to light. Okay, and just to give you a quick example, again, not showing you how we do this yet, but I can go one step farther and we can actually see what it looks like on the stage. And we can see where it lights. Okay? This is because of the magic of focus points. So hopefully I've now convinced you that putting in your focus points is a good idea.
The focus point for this is the little blue dot right there, like the Russian cross. Where is the focus point on this drawing?
Where is the focus point? I'm going to look for it. I'm going to make sure it's turned on. It may not be turned on at the moment. Okay, I'm going to go back to... okay, the focus point's not turned on. Let me turn it on. Okay, so it's right here. And so the rendering makes it work really slow when it's in that full color render mode, but you can see that the center beam of that light goes right to that focus point.
What's the height on that?
Too high, actually. I was just looking at that going, yeah, that's actually too high.
What should it have been? 6 foot?
Okay, so a person seated in a chair loses 18 inches of height, but then they're on a 2-foot, they're on a 16-inch platform, so it should be at 6 feet. Let me see what my focus point is set at.
So you're 6 foot, I'm 6'1". I've been on stage with 4'11" actresses. When you got two players, their heads are a foot apart.
So, and I'm going to stop the recording so I can show you this.